All right, so we are excited to be filming here at AU with Brandon from Autodesk. Brandon, for the listening audience, can you tell a little bit about your background and,
Sure.
and your role at Autodesk?
Yeah, so really excited to be here, by the way. So thanks for having me. I am the director of our customer success organization for our overarching construction division. I focus primarily on support, customer success, our services organizations, but really most importantly, just making sure our customers are successful with our tools.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at Autodesk now for 11 years, and I've been in the construction group the entire time, but it's a lot bigger today than it was 11 years ago, which was maybe one of the most exciting parts of this week.
Yeah, awesome. And I hear you have a background in construction, family-owned business, right?
I do, yeah. I started when I was 11, picking up nails and screws on uncle's job sites. And was fortunate enough to work my way onto a framing crew, and then I just realized the winters maybe weren't for me, and I was fortunate enough to kind of get into the software space, and kind of been here ever since. But still a big fan of getting out in the field and getting opportunities to really work.
Mm-hmm. What about the software space and the tech in general pulled you over to this side of it?
I've been a nerd. I am a nerd. I'm just a nerd.
That's okay. We're all a nerd.
And I think I went to school for architecture. Dabbled. I just was a really bad architect. But I think in that short period of time where I was still aspiring, I really fell in love with technology. Just this idea that we could move faster with just really simplistic changes. I also found it really exciting to teach in many cases, the people that taught me about construction, the next sort of iteration, right? This technology, I think, especially in the 08, 09 timeframe, as Revit was evolving and Navisworks was coming online, I was really intimidating. And I think a lot of people were just scared to even explore these tool sets.
Sure.
And I just thought it was maybe my opportunity to return some favors. People that had taught me about the complexity of a job site. I was, only too excited to teach them about how BIM and other aspects of our tools could help improve their day-to-day.
Yeah. Do you think in that 10-year stretch that the tools have become more accessible and easier for people to really grasp and get their hands dirty with them?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I think technology always optimizes over time, right? I think we've seen tools get better, easier, faster. I think at the same time, though, we've seen the increase in volume of tools.
Sure.
In many ways, maybe make folks apathetic to technology on a job site. I think you still see a lot of people that are covered in certificates and enablement sessions and training sessions that still feel like there's question marks about how these tools work together. So there's still a lot of work to do, but I think the fact that we have such an effort around technology is good validation that we're taking the right steps, that we're getting a lot closer than we were 10 years ago.
Yeah. What's the reaction been to even more new technology coming online, even this week with all the announcements from Autodesk?
Sure. I think this week, in a lot of ways, and I'll use the improvements to large model viewer as an example. It is and I hope our customers receive it this way. It's acknowledgement of the feedback we've received for the better part of a decade that the tools we produce need to have more than just wow factor, right? They need to wow our customers because they're so simplistic that they bring people into the fold in a way that maybe past iterations of our BIM offerings haven't. And I think when you look at large model viewer and you look at what we delivered, it wasn't a new science project. It wasn't some crazy thing. It was bigger models, faster speed, cleaner visibility, filter control, things that are very much geared towards making the user's life easier, more so than any other aspect of the business.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot more with regard to APIs too. I think one thing that has been a real standout as far as topics with customers is how many are starting to sort of delve into the development space and are taking advantage of platform services to create their own integrations, create their own workflows. This wasn't a thing 10 years ago.
Right.
It's really incredible to see now.
Yeah. How do they level up their skills in order to be able to take advantage of that?
I've been asking that question a lot. I think the intern programs that I've heard about this week, where people are pulling in program developers, creating their own development teams, not huge staffs, 5, 10 people, exploring problem statements they're getting from the field as almost intern assignments. The things that have come out of these groups, I've seen 4D simulation coming out of a 1-year graduate intern. I mean, it's really incredible how the APIs we've constructed were really geared towards that development audience in a way that they could easily interpret what they're hearing from field engineers, project managers, and turn that into a meaningful integration that makes it easier to use ACC. And that's where I'm seeing it, is they're really sort of building up that base with the incoming graduates. It's something new in the construction space for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. And we need to be pulling in more people into the industry too. So I think that technology is a great kind of gateway into coming into construction, because there's so much cool stuff happening here.
Yeah, I almost heard, I'm going to paraphrase, but speaking with a customer earlier today, they were almost describing the development teams they're bringing on as part of the solution to their labor challenges, the more broader challenges.
Sure.
It's not that they're trying to replace work or implement AI solutions to eliminate jobs. There's not enough people to do the jobs we have. So I think what you're hearing a lot of people talk about is just automating away the administrative challenges that plague their teams. And if you could make the day just suck a little less, like, no one's upset about that.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you go about getting the buy-in from the field? Because the technology can seem like a threat, and it's a scary thing coming in. But how do you get them comfortable with it to really be bought in and become champions of it?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with listening, right? I think sometimes, and I've been guilty of this as well, right? You'll show up with this great tool that does this thing, and you try to sell them on the thing, the capability, the button, the feature. That's great. I mean, I think some people like me, nerds that get excited about that, are all too happy. But if you have any hesitation to get into technology, approaching someone with a button, that's just not going to register. And I think where I've seen the most success is when the reason you're addressing technology or bringing technology into a business is to address a specific pain point, not a pain point of someone that's not in the field, not a pain point that someone arbitrarily thinks is important. A field engineer, a superintendent, a day laborer that tells you about a pain point that makes it challenging to do their job. When you solve it, it's amazing how the barriers break down, right? Oh, you made my life a little less painful. And I think as we've found those simplistic challenges, those simplistic pain points, what's been great is it creates this organic adoption, right? Dave tells Kelly, Kelly tells the next person, and so on and so forth. You don't have to get them convinced to use everything to take advantage of one thing. And I've sometimes struggled to see the forest through the trees on that, so I understand the challenge everyone's going through there. But again, I think if you can meet people where they're at, you're going to have way more success than if you just try to sort of force feed them things.
I think it's an interesting point too, because the technologists, you want everybody to adopt everything right from the beginning, but getting them, what's the first step that they can use to get comfortable in the systems and using the tools? Some people, they don't have experience, and everybody's uncomfortable with what they don't know.
Exactly.
So how do you get them on that first degree of comfortability? It's huge.
I think that's the opportunity. And I'm not putting the onus on this on our customers by any means. I think this is the opportunity for Autodesk and our ecosystem of partners is to embrace that challenge and help our technologists at these companies deliver that message to their users. That's kind of the next phase of this. We're obviously going to keep innovating, creating more APIs, and evolving AI. But at the end of the day, this needs to make everyone's life easier. So if we're showing up and just adding complexity, we're not adding value.
Right.
And that's a big thing I think Autodesk as a company is really focused on adapting and shifting towards, is just how do we make it easier to advocate for the needs of our customers, the users, I should say.
So how does that look in practice for Autodesk to come alongside the customers and really be a partner with them on the journey to implementing and adopting all the new tech?
Absolutely. I'll on top of being a nerd, I also have a very short attention span. So I think when I look at learning strategy, and I'll go back to the early 10s, 08, 09 frame. I mean, you couldn't open a video without kind of learning the person's entire background and having a 15-minute PowerPoint session about none of the things I Googled or YouTube searched to find out about.
Right.
And then simultaneously, you get to the end of this video, if you're still paying attention, and you hope that you've retained some knowledge. I think people don't learn that way anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe they never did. But I think one of the things that I've been really proud of is the evolution of our Learn ACC platform. Not because it's doing something that other tools don't. Lots of solutions have short format content. That's nothing new. But what I'm really excited about is that, in the past, as we're iterating on the software, as new capabilities are coming out, there's long lead times between the video content and this really great new capability solution that our customer is excited to leverage. Today, Learn ACC has almost a 2-week turnaround for new updates in that content.
Nice.
And we're seeing customers use it in the thousands every single day, adding badges, certificates. And all we really did was make short format content that did exactly what the customer Googled, right?
Right.
I'm looking at, how do I create an RFI workflow, right? And there's my 3-step process for creating an RFI workflow. And we've been asked for this for so long. Maybe not in these specific terms, but I think micro-learning and creating content that you can look at on your lunch break, that you can pull open your phone real quick, and most importantly, you don't have to leave the product to access. That's been a really important piece. And the other thing that I've really been proud of is our community forums. I'm proud of the team that built them, but I'm even prouder of the way our customers are engaging. And if you look at our big room, we have just a really eclectic group of professionals, whether it's general contractors, specialty trades, that are helping each other.
Right.
Even having competitive offering discussions on these forums, it doesn't matter. They're just trying to solve challenges in construction. And it's been really fun to watch and help facilitate those conversations from a distance.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the construction industry in general, and then events like this is I feel like people in construction are totally open and willing to have those conversations, even with competitors, like you said, because they're trying to make the industry better and improve it however they can. So it takes just one contractor doing something better isn't going to help move the industry forward. It takes everybody rowing in the same direction, and construction does a really good job of locking arms with each other on that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So some of the the main big product benefit or release that came out during AU was around Autodesk AI.
Yeah.
What is the reaction on the construction side?
It's been really. I had a perception of what it would be coming in. I think so many tools are AI. And AI has just sort of become a buzzword. It reminds me of, in a much bigger sense, but in some ways to the BIM explosion. Yeah. I think most customers, especially on the construction side that I've had a chance to talk to since the announcement, are in part excited. This is great. We're going to interject AI. I think they really want to understand what our thought process, though, is around AI. Are we just taking a tool like Copilot and slapping it into ACC and calling it a day? Or are we going to make intentional decisions about how AI helps our customers? And I think we've had some really great forums with customers over the last few weeks where they're illustrating the challenges that they have day in and day out. It's great if AI can create this incredibly comprehensive, proactive dashboard that tells me about all my problems before they ever exist. But it's even better if I don't have to flip between 15 sheets to figure out what the room finish is or the specific cove molding detail. It's great if I can start to use things like in our takeoff tool where it allows us to do basic symbol detection and very quickly catalog what used to be a highlighting exercise that took hours and hours. I think what I want, and I hope customers are taking away from this, is that for us, AI needs to solve practical pain points before it can solve the big, massive, hairy challenges that we oftentimes describe it to solve. I think day one, we just need to really look for those simplistic pain points, whether they be in our product or the industry, and just ask ourselves, like, what would, if I had this sort of administrative butler of sorts, what would it look like if they were returning the right answer to me? And look for opportunities to do that.
Yeah. What I think is really cool about the approach that you guys are taking is it seems like it's really practical. It's rooted in how are people actually going to use it and really enhance and augment what they're doing, not come in and be like, all right, we're going to take over all of construction and just have an easy button.
I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT 4. I've spent way too much time on Midjourney asking for interesting images to get created. I love it, but I think at the same time, I've never found a more confident response that may be wrong than I get out of chat. And that's not an indictment of that technology. That technology is incredible, and I use it every day. But I think if we don't train data, if we don't take a really intentional mindset to this, we have the potential to introduce risk into our customers' projects. And I think, as much as I want to see AI be a part of everything, I most importantly do not want to create pain point that our customer didn't ask for.
Right.
And that's where I think the practicality is really important, because it gives customers confidence that AI can be a value add without making it feel like it's going to replace their job. And then I think secondary to that, it allows us to kind of learn the way that we want these models to be built out. And I think we also have to take into account that companies like OpenAI and Microsoft are constantly developing. The tool sets they have today are only 12 months old in most cases. Where are we going to be 12 months from now?
Yeah.
So I think there's a reason to take this practical approach that goes beyond just wanting to set the foundation. I think it's really important that we think about what we want AI to bring to a site before we just sort of unleash it.
Yeah. So one of the fears, too strong of word, but issues that I've been hearing people talk up that are concerned, that view it as a threat, if you will, is on the data side of how do we protect our data? How do we make sure it's secure? Do we really want to give it to somebody else to look at? This is our proprietary data. How do you respond to that, or how do you calm their fears?
Yeah, so first off, I think their fears are in many ways justified, right? Data ownership is incredibly important. And, I think I heard a really great quote earlier today that, security is not convenient. And I think just digging into that a little, when we think about data policies and opening AI, or even, I think AI is one piece, but even just using machine learning and basic algorithms, understanding the intent you have for data is critical from a lot of vantage points. But I think the most important is that bad data can be used to tell any story you want.
Sure.
And we've all had someone sell us something that clearly wasn't fully thought through, or you could at least say the data maybe was incomplete. And I think when we look at that concern, especially from a security perspective, I think we need to really ask ourselves, okay, not just what information do we want to load, but why? Is it relevant to put what we would all describe as HIPAA-related insights associated to a safety incident into a system that maybe we don't fully understand or comprehend? Obviously not, right? That's an easy one. But I think company financials, risk impacts. There's even proprietary insights that come out of this data. And I can very much understand and appreciate why a customer would want and should protect it. That's where I think the step one for most of our customers needs to be establishing what they want those data insights to be, and ensuring that the data they're collecting and feeding to these machine learning algorithms, it represents that story and maybe not much else, right? The last thing you want to do is oversaturate a model with objects that don't add value. It opens you up to security risk. It obviously opens you up to challenges in interpreting the data, but also it's a waste of time. So I think we have to help customers, and I think customers can even also help us in this regard, establish what those important figures are, and then I think simultaneous to that, continue to apply pressure to ensure our security protocols not just meet the standards that that we find to be important, but I think most importantly that the industry finds to be important. We all have a responsibility to continue to evolve to meet those security standards. There is not an end point to this. This is forever. We are always going to have to refine that strategy. That's what keeps it secure. Yeah. And I don't expect customers to give us a break on that anytime soon.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure the pressure will stay there.
Please, yeah, no, it's good.
What would your advice be as they start that journey to kind of thinking through what information they would want, or
Sure.
the data that they would want going into the AI?
I think there's so many companies, and I'm sure you've talked to some of them that have thoughtful strategies here. I think, Autodesk is going to spend a lot of time and energy over these next few months propagating some of these best-in-class examples, especially in situations where customers are really excited to introduce the other organizations to what they've cultivated. And I think, this next year for sure is going to be a best practice sharing as we all learn how AI is going to adopt the job site. But I think the biggest thing right now is having a data standard, having an intentional thought process in mind around the insights we want to collect from our teams in the field and how we want to put them to work for us. I ask this in my teams all the time. It's in Salesforce versus ACC, but I ask them all the time, is the data you're populating in our tool making your life easier? They rarely say yes. And maybe that's just a data hygiene issue, but I think
it's just a CRM issue.
Yeah, exactly. But I think more importantly, the answer should be yes. And if it's not, then we're not doing something right. I mean, I think realistically, customers that are really been successful with a sound data strategy, they've defined that problem statement, they figured out what information was needed to address it, and they delivered. And I think the effort we see from many others to just boil the ocean, collect it all, and we'll figure out how to parse through it later. And I've never found that to be a super successful strategy in the short term, maybe the long term, but certainly not the short term. So that's where I would start. And I think there's experts from all over that can help guide in that. But this is definitely an opportunity to learn, I think, for all of us.
Nice. Any other main takeaways from AU this year?
I think, first off, we've never had more construction professionals at AU. And as someone that started here 11 years ago with, a really finite number of construction professionals at Autodesk, running into so many people now, fast forward a decade, that are pressuring us to do better and more and faster. I've waited for this passion to be present with so many for so long. So it's really just been sort of like my Super Bowl of sorts, right? I'm in Detroit, so I've never had a Super Bowl. Maybe this year might be the difference.
In Atlanta, we've had disappointing Super Bowls. So
really disappointing one.
Right.
But I think for me to see so many people passionate about what we're building is just such a change of pace, and it's something that's super exciting. I saw some incredible classes. I think the homegrown innovation that we've seen is just truly incredible. And if you're hearing this going like, I want to check some of this out, we're posting all of it. It's going to be on our Autodesk University site, so you can access. And I think it's just also great to be back in Vegas. I never would have thought that I would have missed roaming the show floors of a casino, but this has just been an incredible place. The staffs have been amazing. Just really missed it. So it's been a great week, a great return to normal. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I feel like the energy here. This is my 8th or 9th or something of AUs. I feel like this is the best AU.
I love hearing that. I've heard others say this. That's it's certainly better than last year. Yeah.
I actually missed last year. That was the one I've missed.
That was the one to actually last year the city of New Orleans was great as well. Just new place, new city for the first time. But we're so thankful to be back here in Vegas.
Yeah, it's been good. So as we start landing the plane here, when I said the phrase modeling the future, what does that mean to you? What kind of pops into your head?
For me, I'll probably be more tactical than strategic in this response, I guess. I've always wanted this. I started in Field Classic, if you ever remember that product. It's a much older product. And I watched the evolution of assets and how assets have improved over time. And I think back to my time in the field, there were so many situations where a spec had come through. There were 4 embeds required for us to hang a VAV box on this unistrut. Sure enough, we get up there, we set the box, and the unistrut that's been set doesn't allow for a filter change. Little things like that, they're painful, they're problematic, and reactive tools made it easy for us to say, should we do this or should we do that? What I've always wanted and what I think modeling the future looks like is when we run into situations like that, regardless of AI or not, what I want to be able to do is have the solution captured, not just improve the way we build, but improve the way we design. And more so than that, as we install, as we implement, as we bring assets onto a project, and that owner has life cycle challenges, warranty issues, well, I don't ever want to spec that product again. I think there's this really incredible opportunity as we go forward to learn from mistakes and make more informed decisions up front that help our owners, our future customer, really benefit from the value of BIM. I always have felt like we've been this close, but if at the same time I'm still having to issue RFIs for objects that have incredible amounts of BIM data, something's not right.
Right.
And I think Autodesk holistically sees this as an opportunity, and I hear from our customers that it's a want, a need, and it's probably the differentiator in how we take that next step in the way we build buildings, and more importantly, the way we maintain them. That's very much the way I envision it.
Yeah, I like it. Well, one of our central themes that we come back to a lot on the podcast is around innovation. What does innovation mean to you?
I mean, again, like I could use some massive concept like AI, but I think it's way less complicated than that. Some of my favorite innovation has just come from someone that is staring at the problem for a really long time and finally says, maybe the whole process is broken. Like maybe it's not just this. Maybe it's bigger. Maybe I need to back up and. I'll hopefully he doesn't listen because I don't want him to hear all the positive things. But Lalith, who's come in as our new head of R&D, having him come into the team and look at some of the incredible work our folks have done and say, I understand why we made these decisions. I get it, but we've learned new things. Maybe we can alter. Maybe we can adapt. And seeing him approach the refinement of our tool in a very practical way. It's a kind of innovation I don't see very often, right? The innovation I see is science projects and complexity and more.
Right.
There's something so perfect about seeing someone make, a functional process better, and that's my favorite kind of innovation.
Yeah, I think that's the best innovation is the most simplistic thing.
Exactly.
That you didn't think of. You just had to change your perspective, and then you're like, oh yeah, staring me right in the face the whole time. 6
clicks into 3. Yeah, I mean
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the hardest
yes.
innovation, but it's
yes.
it's the best.
It is.
So final question for you: if I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing. What would you pick to innovate?
Oh wow. I would never have a safety incident on a job site again. I think realistically, even to this day, far too many people are injured, and even more are killed on job sites from preventable incidences. It's something that's impacted me personally, impacted friends and family, and it just doesn't need to be a thing anymore. So I think introducing, whatever this magic wand I have is, introducing something that truly solves the problem of safety, doesn't put the onus on the people on the job site, but instead just alleviates the complexity of the job site that often leads to the safety incident to begin with.
Yeah.
That would be my perfect resolution.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Thank you. Yeah. Worked
Thanks
hard on it.
Thanks so much for coming on. I
appreciate the time.
Enjoyed the conversation.
No, same here. Really appreciate it.